Good morning. Our prelude this morning is Hashivenu, which is an Israeli folk song. The text is taken from the Bible and is found in Lamentations. The translation is, "Cause us to return to you, and we shall return. Renew our days as of old."
Good morning, and welcome to First Parish in Needham, a Unitarian Universalist congregation founded in 1711, along with our town of Needham. I'm Leslie Nelkin, and along with my husband, Ed, who's back there, and my children, Susanna and Michael, we discovered First Parish in 1994, and we immediately felt at home in this community of seekers, and we never looked back. Today's the last Sunday of our worship ministry theme of liberation, and in that light, I'd like to tell you about a pilgrimage Ed and I did to the Mississippi Delta with the Living Legacy Project, and that's why I'm wearing this t-shirt. The mission of the Living Legacy Project is to connect the civil rights movement to today's movements for justice. And it's the offspring of a UU minister, Gordon Gibson, who back in the 60s was the minister at Theodore Parker Church in West Roxbury. You want me to? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. This is his book. It's called Southern Witness, Unitarians and Universalists in the Civil Rights Era. So as a minister, he took members of his congregation on pilgrimages to the civil rights locations from the 60s, and that sort of blossomed into what's now the Living Legacy Project, which is co-run by Reggie Harris, who's a wonderful musician of folk music, and his counterpart, Annette Dupree. Anyhow, so on our bus journey through Mississippi, we heard firsthand witness of people whose lives were deeply impacted by the civil rights movement. The daughter of James Chaney, who was murdered. We stood on hallowed ground where Medgar Evers was murdered, Martin Luther King, Vernon Dahmer, Emmett Till. It was just really sobering and deep. And we bore witness to the painful scars left by the legacy of Jim Crow, and celebrated the strength and courage of the activists who sought dignity, equality, and the right to vote. And every morning we started with a freedom song on the bus. So I encourage you to check out the Living Legacy Project. Their website is livinglegacypilgrimage.org, and there's a lot of resources there. In addition to their trips, they offer lots of other resources to check out. And so our congregation is offering worship and programming in a hybrid, multi-platform format with in-person, hybrid, and online gatherings. And you can learn more about what's happening here at First Parish by going to our website, uuneedham.org, or by following us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And for all the Zoom links and up-to-date information, you can sign up for our weekly newsletter by going to the website and clicking on Get Involved Newsletter, or send your request to the office at office.uuneedham.org. And again, welcome to everybody, and here in the building and online. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. Our chalice lighting this morning comes from Summer Al-Bayati, a UU Muslim of Iraqi descent, and it's called A Chalice Lighting for Liminal Times. In betwixt and between, we move in the liminal spaces that show shades of what can become, what can be. We light this chalice as a symbol of courage to move into that time of this and that, and not this and not that, with patience and faith and love and hope, that this time will pass like the sun moves in between rising and setting, reminding us that beauty resounds in betwixt and in between. And you might have also noticed that we've got our Advent wreath up on the altar this morning, because this Sunday is the first Sunday in Advent. And the words for our Advent candle lighting come to us from Euro-American UU minister Reverend Lynn Cox. Unitarian Universalism is a faith with roots in Christianity. Some UUs today identify as Christians, others don't. Yet during the season of Advent, we all have something we can find illuminating, comforting, challenging, or fulfilling by reinterpreting old traditions. This year, during Advent, we'll light candles in a wreath, one for each Sunday leading up to Christmas, plus one more in the center for Christmas Eve. We'll light these candles, one more each week, to remember hope, peace, joy, and love. As we light them throughout this season of waiting, let us remember to be fully present in the moment with each other, with ourselves, and with the source of blessing as we understand it to be. If you'd please join me in the small responsive reading that's in your orders of service. We join with others from throughout time and beyond time in the practice of repairing the world.
Change is possible.
We light the candle for hope. Please rise in body or in spirit to join in singing our first hymn. It's number 244, It Came Upon a Midnight Clear. The lyrics are in your orders of service or can be found in the gray hymnal. And these lyrics were written by Edmund Sears.
It came upon the midnight clear, that glorious song of old, from angels bending near the earth to touch their harps of gold. Peace on the earth to all goodwill, from heaven news we bring. The world in solemn stillness lay, to hear the angels sing. Still through the cloven skies they come, with peaceful wings unfurled, and still their heavenly music floats o'er all the weary world. Above its sad and lonely plains, they bend on hovering wing, and ever o'er its babel sounds the blessed angels sing. But with the woes of war and strife, the world has suffered long. Beneath the angel strain have rolled 2,000 years of wrong. And we who fight the wars hear not the love song which they bring. Oh, hush the noise of battle strife, and hear the angels sing. For lo, the days are hastening on, my prophet gods foretold, when with the ever-circling years comes round the age of gold, when peace shall over all the earth its ancient splendors claim, and all the world give back the song which now the angels sing.
In the Unitarian Universalist tradition, the covenant is a set of promises the membership of a congregation strives to honor with one another and out in the world. Though we cannot all gather together in person during this time, we strive to live these promises every day. Please say along with me the words of our parish covenant as it's printed in your order of service or in your email. We gather as a loving community to encourage and comfort one another. We gather as a diverse community to support each other in our search for spiritual truth. We gather as a service community to live our beliefs through action and care for our world. Our world.
Good morning. We are busy people living in a busy world. Sometimes it feels like there is so much to do, or there are so many ideas in our head that we push and push ourselves to get things just right. By accident, we often make ourselves so exhausted or frustrated that we want to give up. But what are we supposed to do when that happens? Today, we are going to read a story about a girl, her dog assistant, and her most magnificent creation that will help us answer just that question. The Most Magnificent Thing, written and illustrated by Ashley Spires. This is a regular girl and her best friend in the whole wide world. They do all kinds of things together. They race, they eat, they explore, they relax. She makes things, he unmakes things. But one day, the girl has a wonderful idea. She is going to make the most magnificent thing. She knows just how it will look. She knows just how it will work. All she has to do is make it, and she makes things all the time. Easy peasy. First, she hires an assistant. Next, they gather their supplies. They set up somewhere out of the way and get to work. The girl tinkers and hammers and measures, while her assistant pounces and growls and chews. When she is finished, she steps back to admire her work. She walks around one side. Her assistant examines the other side. It doesn't look right. Her assistant picks it up and gives it a shake. It doesn't feel right either. They are shocked to discover that the thing isn't magnificent or good. It isn't even kind of sort of okay. It is all wrong. The girl tosses it aside and gives it another go. She smooths and wrenches and fiddles. Her assistant circles and tugs and wags. When she's finished, she stands up and takes a long look at it. Her assistant gives it a nudge with his paw. The thing is still wrong. She decides to try again. The girl saws and glues and adjusts. She stands and examines and stares. She twists and tweaks and fastens. She fixes and straightens and studies. She tries all different ways to make it better. She makes it square, she makes it round, she gives it legs, she adds antennae. She makes it fuzzy, she makes it long, short, rough, smooth, big, small. One even smells of stinky cheese. But none of them are magnificent. Her hard work attracts a few admirers, but they don't understand. They can't see the magnificent thing that she has in her mind. She gets mad. The angrier she gets, the faster she works. She smashes pieces into shapes. She jams parts together. She pummels the little bits in. Her hands feel too big to work, and her brain is too full of all the not right things. If only the thing would just work. Crunch! The pain starts in her finger. It rushes up to her brain, and she explodes. It is not her finest moment. I'm no good at this. I quit. Her assistant suggests a walk. It's not much help at first. But before long, she starts to feel different. Bit by bit, the mad gets pushed out of her head. As they stroll along, she comes across the first wrong thing she made. The bad feelings are about to start all over again. Then, she notices something surprising. There are some parts of the wrong things that are really quite right. the bolts on one, the shape of another, the wheel-to-seat ratio of the next. These are all sorts of parts that she likes. By the time she reaches the end of the trail, she finally knows how to make the thing magnificent. She gets to work. She works carefully and slowly, tinkering, hammering, twisting, fiddling, gluing, painting. Her assistant makes sure there are no distractions. The afternoon fades into evening. Finally, she finishes, and she alerts her assistant. The pair take a good long look. It leans a little to the left, and it's a bit heavier than expected. The color could use a bit of work too. But it's just what she wanted. They climb aboard and take it for a spin. They are not disappointed. It really is the most magnificent thing. When we are excited or motivated, we can often forget about the small rests we need, the breaks that let us catch our breath and bring clarity to our cluttered brains, the tiny timeouts that remind us to slow down and listen to ourselves when we are overwhelmed. Sometimes the universe is trying to talk to us in the ittiest whisper, and the only way to hear is to be still and quiet and wait. Where in your life can you add small breaks so you can listen to the universe or even your own heart? Take care of yourselves and each other in our busy, busy world this week and always. Ashe, Amen, and blessed be.
So now is the time in our service when we share our joys and concerns that lie close to our hearts and in our lives. If you can't be with us here in the sanctuary and you would like a candle lit, please email me your pre-submitted candle at internminister@uuneedham.org. Please email me by Thursday evening midnight on the Thursday before the service. And we'll share these pre-submitted candles at the start of this ritual. If you're in the parish hall and have a joy or concern, you are welcome to quietly share a stone at the altar and write your joy or concern on a piece of paper. The pastoral care team and the ministers will see these at a later time and with your permission. I'd like to remind everyone that the services are going out onto YouTube, and we cannot guarantee that all the joys and sorrows that you share will stay within our community. If you'd like to share more privately, you can always reach out to Reverend Katie, to me, or to our Pastoral Care Associate of the Week, and this week it's Gail Lehman. Janet, I'm so sorry. I forgot to update my script. I apologize. So Janet, please reach out to Janet. And, sorry, that just derailed me a little bit. I apologize, everybody. Okay. Our pre-recorded candle that we have, or pre-submitted, is from the First Parish staff, and we offer a candle of concern for the victims of the latest mass shooting at the Walmart in Chesapeake, Virginia. Our hearts are filled with sadness for the lives cut short and for those family members and loved ones left grieving. If you have a joy or concern you would like to share, I invite you forward at this time, and please remember to speak straight into the microphone so everyone can hear.
I'm Susan Commuty, and I have a new grandson. His name is Wells Robert Commuty, and he had a rocky birth. He didn't breathe for a little while, but he's fine now. And his sister Adeline, who's 2 years and 2 months old, is learning how to be gentle and to help, and also be allowed her own feelings about this whole big change. Thank you.
I'm Judy Hadrick, and I'm lighting 2 candles this morning because they're for entirely different reasons. The first candle is a candle of sorrow. My best friend, who is also named Judy, passed away very suddenly and unexpectedly the first week in November. She had a great sense of fun and adventure, and the 20 years that I had known her, we just had a wonderful time together, and I'm going to miss her. The second candle is for my friend Michael, who I've known since he was 9 years old, a close family friend. He's going for a very painful and difficult divorce, and we're all trying to support him, and it's a very bad situation, and we're all very concerned about him.
Hi, I'm Amy Chikala, and I light this candle in celebration of the life of my cousin who died a week ago. She had a brain aneurysm 19 years ago and has been in a nursing home ever since with help for breathing and eating and everything else. But throughout the entire 19 years, she had such courage and drive and sense of humor. And I was really fortunate. My sisters and I went out last March, so we got to see her and be able to say goodbye at that point. But she was a remarkable woman.
Hi, my name is Leslie Ross Degnan, and I'm lighting the candle today for a friend of ours, Tabby Rappolt. I spoke to her husband, George, last week, and I understand she had some kind of intestinal obstruction. She was in the hospital for a few days. I think she's home now, but I'm not sure. But I just wanted to light a candle for her speedy recovery. Hi, Tabby, in case you're watching. Get well.
I'm Bob Smart. I've been a member here for quite a number of years. In my family, we have 3 November birthdays, which we actually celebrated last week, one more significant than the others. My mother, Joan Smart, who's here today, turned 95 last week, and it's great to have her here again, so happy birthday, Mom.
Hi, my name's Leslie Nelkin, and I'm lighting this candle a little bit of concern. The Afghani family that our congregation has supported, and I've worked with Temple Beth Shalom to get them acclimated to their new life in the United States. They're moving to Washington State in 2 days, and they won't have the numerous people that have helped them for the past year, and I just hope they can make a go of it. Their English skills are very limited, but fingers crossed they do well.
I'm Dan Kilburn. I've been a member of this church since 1966. I'm lighting a candle in honor of my cousin, Yuka Ahamaki. Yuka, he was a senior counterintelligence officer in the Finnish Navy in charge of anti-submarine warfare, and he died suddenly in the spring. He was my brother.
For these and all the other joys, concerns, and milestones that lie on our hearts, we light a final candle. Will now be held in several moments of silence. Our pastoral prayer this morning comes from the 8th century Buddhist monk Shantideva. This is a monk who has been an inspiration for the Dalai Lama over the years. Please join me in the spirit of prayer. Spirit of life and of the interconnected web of all existence, may I become at all times, both now and forever, a protector of those without protection, a guide for those who have lost their way, a ship for those with oceans to cross, a bridge for those with rivers to cross, a sanctuary for those in danger, a lamp for those without light, a place of refuge for those who lack shelter, and a servant to all in need. For as long as space endures, and for as long as living beings remain, until then may I, too, abide, to dispel the misery of the world. Amen. Please remain seated and join us in singing our meditative response, I Know This Rose Will Open. It's number 396 in the gray hymnals, or printed in your order of service. This congregation has been supported by the volunteered time and treasure of its members and friends since its founding in 1711. This is a time in our service when we, the modern stewards of this church, offer what we can to build and sustain the congregation and the world we envision. This month, our collections are being split 50-50 with the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, or the UUSC. The UUSC is the merged social service organizations of the Unitarian Service Committee and the Universalist Service Committees, both of which were founded during World War II to help those escaping Nazi persecution and to support relief efforts after the war. The UUSC today supports justice work through local partners around the world, with a special focus on grassroots organizing abroad and legislative advocacy here in the United States. To donate to our collection, there are several methods as described in detail in your orders of service. You can use text to give, you can donate through our website, write a check or give cash in the offering plate, or mail a gift to First Parish. Whatever way you give, please be sure to specify whether your gift is for today's collection or your 2023 pledge. Thank you for everything you are able to give to help support and sustain this congregation and the vital work of our community partners. May the ushers please come forward. Our reading this morning is by David Whyte, Welsh and Irish American philosopher and poet. It's called Rest. Rest is the conversation between what we do, what we love to do, and how we love to be. Rest is the essence of giving and receiving, an act of remembering imaginatively and intellectually, but also psychologically and physically. To rest is to give up on the already exhausted will as the prime motivator of endeavor, with its endless outward need to reward itself through established goals. To rest is to give up on worrying and fretting and the sense that there is something wrong with the world unless we are there to put it right. To rest is to fall back literally or figuratively from outer targets and shift the goal, not to an inner static bullseye, an imagined state of perfect stillness, but to an inner state of natural exchange. The template of natural exchange is the breath, the autonomic giving and receiving that forms the basis and measure of life itself. We are rested when we are a living exchange between what lies inside and what lies outside, when we are an intriguing conversation between the potential that lies in our imagination and the possibilities for making that internal image real in the world. We are rested when we let things alone and let ourselves alone to do what we do best, breathe as the body intended us to breathe, to walk as we are meant to walk, to live with the rhythm of a house and a home, giving and taking through cooking and cleaning. When they give and take in an easy foundational way, we are closest to the authentic self, and closest to the self that, when we are most rested, to rest is not self-indulgent. To rest is to prepare to give the best of ourselves, and to perhaps, most importantly, arrive at a place where we are able to understand what we have already been given. Rested, we are ready for the world, but not held hostage by it. Rested, we care again for the right things and the right people in the right way. In rest, we re-establish the goals that make us more generous, more courageous, more of an invitation, someone we want to remember, and someone others want to remember too. This ends our first reading. So I just want to give y'all a heads up that I restructured the sermon a little bit. It's going to be a reading, a short reflection. Laura's going to sing for us, and then we'll have another reading and reflection. I structured it this way because our theme is rest, and I wanted to lean into the sense that we are here to rest. We are here to lay down our burdens, to be present. So short reflections and readings to help you think. So Thursday evening, I found myself in my kitchen in a bit of a post-Thanksgiving dinner stupor. I don't know if y'all felt the same way, but I walked into the kitchen and I looked around, and there was not a counter uncluttered. It was covered by pots and pans and serving dishes and platters, and everywhere I looked was Thanksgiving detritus. And I stood there and I thought, is it worth it? I'm exhausted already. And then I was thinking, December is like one holiday after the other, and I thought about the dinners and celebrations to come, and I was even more exhausted. So I don't know about you, but this post-Thanksgiving time of year often feels like the point at which, when you're on a roller coaster and it's crept you up and up and up to the top, and you're at the top at Thanksgiving and you're looking down the other side, and it's like an abyss, and you have no choice. You are just strapped in and you're there for the ride. Maybe y'all don't feel that way and it's just me, but. So these weeks between Thanksgiving and New Year's, they're so full of celebrations. We've got the solstice, we've got Hanukkah, we've got Christmas and Kwanzaa and New Year's, and probably some I'm forgetting to mention. And for some of us, like in my family, we have birthdays and death days and anniversaries as well. And it can feel like we are on a treadmill of gift buying, card sending, meal preparing, and party going. And as if this wasn't enough, I feel like Thanksgiving is a time of year when keeping up with the Joneses is amped up on steroids. How often have we heard the humble brags, the complaints of having no time to rest because of the deluge of invitations they've received, or the 50 dozen cookies rather, they've got to make every year, or the amazing and amazingly expensive gifts they've purchased. And not to be left out, hearing all this from other people, we join in and chime in with our own lists of busyness. It hasn't even started, and I am already wanting to get off of that roller coaster. Do any of you feel the same? Yeah. So don't get me wrong, I do love the holidays. I love the cooking and the house guests and the shared meals, but I want to acknowledge the exhaustion that can come with it. So this morning, I'd like to reimagine the month of December as a time of holy rest. I want to live into David White's vision that rest is the essence of giving and receiving, an act of remembering imaginatively and intellectually, but also psychologically and physically. I'm hearing in this that sacred rest cannot be a passive activity. It is a rest that engages us, body, mind, and spirit. So now I'm going to frame what this could look like, this rest. And I'm suggesting that we maybe look to our Jewish siblings who have long had a practice of rest called Shabbat. And Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel said, Shabbat is a celebration of time rather than space. It is a day on which we are called upon to share what is eternal in time, to turn from the results of creation to the mystery of creation. A celebration of time. I love that. I can get on board with that. I can get on board with spending time in silence or with loved ones, of dwelling and abiding, because I understand Shabbat to be the rest that enables us to flourish. Shabbat is a time for unplugging from our busy world, to focus on family, on a shared meal, on a good conversation. It is a time for play, for reading a book, for doing a puzzle. It's a time for doing things that bring joy, and Shabbat is also a time for prayer, for looking inward, for quiet, contemplative practices. Because the rest we need is not just of our bodies, but also of our hearts and our spirits. And in the reframing of what December can be, what if we took a lesson from the natural world as well? So I'm going to ask you all to take a look outside at our trees. They're just bare branches against the blue sky. If we could see the gardens, they would be brown. And all that summertime abundance is gone, and sometimes I think, oh, it's dead outside, that nothing is happening. But fallow and dead are not the same thing, and I need to remember that. Because what I love about this time of year is how necessary it is for the return of the blossoms in the spring, this cold and fallow time. It can't happen. So when seeds fall on the ground, they literally cannot germinate without this fallow time, without the rest, without the cold and the waiting. These fallow months of dormancy are a rich and nourishing time. What would it look like for us to take the month of December and build a spiritual practice of rest, of Sabbath? And as Laura sings Tracy Chapman's All You Ever Have Is Your Soul, I invite you to rest in the idea of leaning into a fallow time.
mama told me. She said she learned the hard way. Said you want to spare the children. She said don't give up, sell your soul away, 'cause all that you have is your soul. So don't be tempted by the shiny apple. Don't you eat of a bitter fruit. Hunger only for a taste of justice. Hunger only for a world of truth. 'Cause all that you have is your soul. I was a pretty young girl once. I had dreams, I had high hopes. Married a man, he stole my heart away. Gave his love, and what a high price I paid. And all that you have is your soul. So don't be tempted by the shiny apple. Don't you eat of a bitter fruit. Hunger only for a taste of justice. Hunger only for a world of truth. 'Cause all that you have is your soul. Why was I such a young fool? Thought I'd made history, making babies was the best I could do. Thought I'd make something that could be mine forever. Found out the hard way, one can't possess another. And all that you have is your soul. So don't be tempted by the shiny apple. Don't you eat of a bitter fruit. Hungrier only for a taste of justice. Hunger only for a world of truth. 'Cause all that you have is your soul. I thought I could find a way to beat the system, to make a deal and have no debts to pay. I'd take it all and run away. Me for myself, first class and first rate. And all that you have is your soul. So don't be tempted by the shiny apple. Don't you eat of a bitter fruit. Hunger only for a taste of justice. Hunger only for a world of truth. 'Cause all that you have is your soul. Here I am, I'm waiting for a better day. A second chance, a little luck to come my way. I hope to dream a dream I can sleep again and wake in the world with a clear conscience and clean hands. 'Cause all that you have is your soul. So don't be tempted by the shiny apple. Don't you eat of a bitter fruit. Hunger only for a taste of justice. Hunger only for a world of truth. 'Cause all that you have is your soul. Oh, my mama told me. Said she learned the hard way. Said she'd want to spare the children. Said don't give her, sell your soul away, 'cause all that you have is your soul.
you have, all that you have, all that you have is your soul.
I just want to say a very big thank you to Laura for learning and playing that song. I love it. It has been on play loop on my playlist this week, and it was beautiful. Thank you. So, our second reading this morning is a poem, and I'm mostly reading it just because it sparked joy when I read it, but I'm going to weave it in, don't you worry. It's called Enough by Euro-American poet and Sacramento's 2020 poet laureate, known for his guerrilla poetry. Love that title, Guerrilla Poet. And his name is Andrew Defy. And the poem is called Enough. So, you are enough. Divinity flows in your fingertips with light so radiant every beat of your heart is a victory march. Made of whole universes, stitched by the hands of creation with flawless design. A prophecy you fulfill perfectly with every breath. You. The sun wouldn't shine the same without it. Creation is only waiting for you to smile back at it. Do you see it yet? You are enough. For the birds to sing about, for the seeds to sprout about, for the stars to shoot about. Do you see it? Gardens in your speech, fields of wildflowers in your prayers, lighthouses in your eyes. No one else can see it for you. You have always been enough. You will always be enough. Your simple act of being is enough. Do you see it? Yeah. So earlier in our service, we lit an Advent candles. I'm stuck on calendars for some reason. In the Christian tradition, Advent is the time of waiting and preparation for Christmas, and Christians light a candle, one for each of the 4 Sundays leading up until Christmas, when they celebrate the birth of Jesus. The first candle is the candle of hope. The second is the candle of peace. The third is for joy, and the fourth is for love. And I think that these candles call us into contemplation and a deeper reflection on the meaning of this Advent season. These themes bring an understanding that there is work to be done before the arrival of the waiting child. And despite what Amazon and GameStop and Macy's and The Gap want us to believe, the preparation has nothing to do with toys and gadgets and clothes. It has nothing to do with the treadmill of baking and parties and holiday cards. Advent is about waiting. It focuses us on the preparation, readying ourselves for what is to come. And this is what I wish for us this Advent season, that we will set aside some amount of time for the spiritual practice of rest, for creating a Sabbath in our busy week. It doesn't have to be on a Sunday. This is your spiritual practice. You get to choose the details. So, because I wanted us to ease into the idea of rest, we're going to do a short guided meditation. And I invite you to close your eyes or simply stare off into the middle distance, whatever is more comfortable for you. Feel the pew or your chair supporting your legs and body beneath you. We're going to slowly work from our feet up to our head, tightening and relaxing our muscles. And as you relax, I'm going to ask you to let that body part float away. Let's begin with our feet. Tighten the muscles in your feet. And release. Let go of your feet. Notice their weightlessness. Now tighten your leg muscles, your calves and your thighs. And release. Next, your body. Tighten the muscles in your stomach and back. Hold them tightly. And release. Now, do the same with your arms. Tighten and release. And finally, tighten your face muscles. Squeeze your eyes tight. And relax. Let go of your body. Let it float away. Turn your eye inward. Look for the seed waiting inside you. Maybe it's the divinity in your fingertips, the garden of your speech, the field of wildflowers in your prayer. Have you found it? Now take that seed and hold it in your hand. This is the seed of infinite possibility. Held within it are your creativity, the germ of an idea for your most magnificent thing. What does it look like? Does it have a hard shell like an acorn? Is it a light puff like a dandelion seed, floating and traveling on currents of air? What does your seed need to grow? Does it need lots of fresh air and sunshine? Or maybe a cozy room indoors with a cup of tea and plenty of blankets for cover? What is getting in the way of its growth? What burdens and expectations do you need to lay down in order for this seed to grow? Take a last look at this seed in your hand, and I ask you to feel the infinite possibility that waits within it. Now I'd like you to take this seed and put it somewhere safe. Maybe you'd like to lay it on your heart or tuck it away in your mind. Know that it is a part of you, ready and waiting for you to plant and nurture it. Join me in taking 3 more last deep breaths. In and out. In and out. Gently open your eyes and slowly come back to this space. I'm wondering how many of you spent that time, or most of that time at least, thinking about all the reasons why you don't have time for this. There is too much to do, and there are errands to run, and kids who need to be picked up and ferried. And you've got deadlines to meet. There's no time in your schedule for rest. But I'm going to suggest to you that whether you could imagine it or not, there is a seed within you that needs this fallow time. Remember, rest is not self-indulgent. David White says, in rest we re-establish the goals that make us more generous, more courageous, more of an invitation, someone we want to remember, and someone others want to remember too. So your homework this week, because yes, I'm giving you homework, is to figure out a time that you can set aside in your week for rest. It can be 5 minutes or 15 minutes. It could be an hour or a whole day. It depends on what you need. What kind of rest will you take? Will it be a nap, a cup of tea with a loved one, a hike in the woods? Maybe create a ritual for this time. Light a chalice that signals the start of the time, and then when you extinguish it, closing out that time. Whatever feels right for you. Whatever you do, I'm going to demand that you schedule it into your calendars. Because unless you put it into your calendar, the week's going to go by and you're going to forget. So put it in your calendar, whatever time you've set aside, and hold it sacred. Because rest is how we go back out into the world and do the work we need to do. May it be so, and amen. So before we end our service this morning, we've got a few announcements. The first is that coffee hour or fellowship time is happening after the service, and we have a new update in our COVID policy. The COVID response team or COVID task force met, and after analyzing the data, they have come to the conclusion that masks can be optional in the parish hall. So starting this morning, you get to decide if you'd like to wear your mask or not. It's your responsibility to assess your risk tolerance and your own health. So please be invited to take off your mask if you'd like to during our fellowship time today. And if you're joining us remotely, please use the Zoom link from the bell notes to join us for our online fellowship. So the next announcement is from Laura, in keeping with Advent. Laura and a few of our staff members, I don't want to hang her out on her own there. We're creating an Advent calendar of songs. So starting on December 1st, we will have a Spotify playlist, and every day we're going to add a new song. And they're going to be holiday songs in the loosest of terms. They might actually be carols or holiday songs, but they also might just be songs that make us feel good and happy in this holiday time. So the link will be in the bell notes, and you don't have to have a Spotify account to listen. You just have to follow the link. I want to remind you that if you were unable to attend any of the memorial services that have been held in the last month, there are links in the bell notes so that you can watch those orders of service. As always, there are many ways to get involved and connected here at First Parish in Needham. On Thursday mornings, they've got the Writing Escapes group. The Vespers are at 5:30 on Thursday afternoon. There's a meditation ministry that meets Thursday evenings, and Creative Escapes meets Fridays at 10:30. As we close our service, we end it with the words that we say each week. Please join me in reading the words that are printed in your orders of service, and they come from the Unitarian Universalist minister, Reverend Elizabeth Selly Jones. Please join me. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, nor the fire of commitment. These we carry with us in our hearts until we are together again. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing our final hymn, Glory, Glory, Hallelujah, an African American spiritual. The music was arranged by Mary Allen Walden. It is number 201 in our gray hymnals or printed in your order of service.
Glory, glory, hallelujah. Since I laid my burden down. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Since I laid my burden down. Feel like shouting, hallelujah. Since I laid my burden down. Feel like shouting, hallelujah. Since I laid my burden down. Life is sweeter, so much sweeter. Since I laid my burden down. Life is sweeter, so much sweeter. Since I laid my burden down. You are dancing, hallelujah. Since I laid my burden down. You like dancing, hallelujah. Since I laid my burden down. Love is shining all around me. Since I laid my burden down. Love is shining all around me. Since I laid my burden down.
Okay, I love how I picked a theme of rest and then picked a rousing song for our last hymn, but I love that song, so I had to go with the laying down of the burdens and the joy of it. Our benediction this morning, as we leave this space and time together. May you lean into the fallow times, indulge in rest. Breathe as the body is intended for us to breathe. Prepare to give the best of ourselves. Understand what we have already been given. Know that we are enough. Feel the divinity flowing in your fingertips. May we remember that our simple act of being is enough. And may we rest. Go in peace, go in love.